Good morning. Today we are making cheesecake. So our ingredients are some cream cheese that has been out for an hour just to get it softened at room temperature. We have some sugar, 3 eggs, 2 cups of sour cream, a teaspoon of vanilla for our plain cheesecake. Our second cheesecake is gonna be a little modification, so we're gonna add some ganache, which is half heavy cream and chocolate that has been melted. Okay, and we are also gonna make it like a little mocha style, so it's gonna get a packet of Starbucks Via, and you can use any coffee powder, okay? Now, when it comes to cheesecake, we have to talk about equipment. So, you can buy something that looks like this at the grocery store. Your crust is already pre-made for you. And is this bad? No, not a problem. It's quick, it's easy. However, the nice thing about making your own crust is that you can make your crust as thick as you want. You can apply it however you want, and if you want, you can make your cheesecake gluten-free. Okay? You can just get some gluten-free cookies and crush those up. This is a springform pan that it's springform because it opens and closes. All right, and I always line mine with foil because if I am giving away my cheesecake, I can easily just take the foil and put it on a serving platter versus the pan going to someone's house and not coming back. All right, so we're gonna start by making our crust. This is a food processor. It is a dinosaur, but you know something, this dinosaur still works, baby. So, we are gonna put our graham crackers. I think it's about 8 crackers, I would say. And it is a little loud. I'm actually gonna add my sugar in there now, which is about a tablespoon of sugar. Oh, guess what? I got mine. Put it on wrong. All right, and it's loud, but we're going for it. So you just want to crush this until you have crumbs. I still have some pieces, so we're just gonna process a little bit longer. And we have some loosey-goosey, so I'm just gonna do those by hand. All right, I'm gonna add my butter. And this moistens the crumbs. Just gonna pulse it real quick. All right, so we're gonna take that out, put it into our pan here. And then we are going to use the back of a measuring cup to flatten it and bring it up to the sides. Now you can use either like an 8-inch or 9-inch pan for this. And as you see, this does a nice job of doing it nice and evenly. And some people, they put their crust just on the bottom. Some people put it all the way up the top. All right, I think that is pretty good. So our crust is done. Just get this out of the way really quick. Set that aside. And now we're gonna make our filling. All right, so cheesecake is called cheesecake because it actually, when it was first made, actually had flour in it. Okay. And sometimes you'll still see flour or cheesecake thickened with flour or cornstarch. And it's done because if you see that the flour or cornstarch in it, you can actually bake it at a higher temperature in a water bath, okay? So this happens to be a water bath right here. So the premise would be you would put your cheesecake in here, you would cover it all the way up with foil so there's no water getting in to the actual pan. You're gonna put your water in here and then it bakes at a gentle temperature because the water gets to about 200 degrees in the oven. Okay. But ours does not have starch. Ours just is thickened with eggs, okay? So eggs is a thickener as well as the emulsifier. And some people say that because it's an egg custard, if you will, you don't want it to curdle. So the temperature of this cheesecake is actually not gonna be baked with a water bath, but I bake my cheesecake at 275 for an hour. And then I shut off the heat and then I let it just kind of remain in the oven for another hour. And then the residual heat should cook it. How do you know when your cheesecake is done? Well, it should be set on the sides, but it should still have a jiggle in the middle, okay? Because remember, cheesecake is really a custard made instead with milk, made with cream cheese. Now, could you use the Neuchâtel cream cheese that has a third less fat? You absolutely could. Some cheesecakes are made with ricotta cheese. There's also cheesecakes that are made with tofu. Now, one of the most important things to get a smooth cheesecake is right here. You don't add anything else until all of your cream cheese is fully smooth. So I'm gonna stop, scrape down the sides of my pan or bowl. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my beaters because I don't want chunky chunks of cream cheese. I want a nice smooth consistency, okay? I think I'm there, so I'm gonna slowly add my sugar. And this happens to be 1 cup of granulated sugar. Now, the other type of cheesecake that you might see is a cheesecake thickened with gelatin, and the gelatin acts as a stabilizer. And with that, you're probably gonna see no eggs in that recipe because it's a no bake, right? If you have eggs, you're gonna have to cook those. Again, I want everything nice and smooth before I add my next ingredient. And before I do that, we are gonna work on our eggs. So remember, you want to just crack them one at a time. So there's no surprises. Nobody likes surprises. Not when it comes to eggs. So I'm just gonna cream this a little bit more, and then we're gonna add our eggs one at a time. Down my bowl. And you could use a stand mixer for this, but again, I prefer the hand blender because I feel like I have more control, and sometimes those stand mixers have like a little divot in the bottom, and then it's very hard to get a really smooth consistency. So I prefer the control of the hand blender. All right. I'm gonna add 2 cups of sour cream. If you wanted to make this a little bit more low fat, you could use reduced fat sour cream, but listen, we're gonna savor each bite, and we're gonna eat a little bit at a time. The other thing that I'm gonna add is a teaspoon of vanilla. You can use any flavoring. If you don't want vanilla, you can use almond, you can use lemon, you can use mint, okay? But because I'm going to make one plain New York style cheesecake and then another coffee, I'm gonna stick with vanilla because vanilla and chocolate go together, okay? So that's 1 teaspoon. And we're just gonna mix this until it's all homogeneous. It is beautiful. It all has one texture and there is no chunks. All right, we are there. Also, if you wanted to add a little bit of lemon zest just to kind of perk it up, and sometimes that acidity is a nice welcome addition to the cheesecake. I'm going to add half of my batter to this one. And I think that's about it. And I'm eyeballing this. I think that's good. Now we're gonna make this mocha by adding a little bit of 1 package of the Via, and it's gonna be speckled. I actually kind of prefer that effect. If you wanted, you could dissolve that in a little bit of like a teaspoon of water. Okay. But I don't mind the speckled effect, so I'm gonna leave it that way. And again, if you liked it really coffee-licious, you could add 2. If you don't like it as coffee heavy, you could only add half a packet. So we're gonna take that, and I'm only gonna add half of this, okay? And then I'm gonna add my chocolate in like little mounds. And it's kind of nice because it hardens a little bit when it's cool. So you get like 2 different textures. And you can also swirl it just by taking a offset or a regular spatula and swirling it along. And you can do any design you want. Okay. I'm gonna add my remainder cheesecake. And I like it chocolatey, so I'm actually gonna add more chocolate. If you wanted it to add like caramel, you could add caramel at this point. Okay, and you just swirl it in just like I did. And I'm going to do and then we're gonna add a little bit more chocolate. Why not, right? We have it. And then you can just kind of do a different effect by going into the middle. All right, so that is our chocolate and cappuccino cheesecake and our plain vanilla cheesecake. It's gonna go into the oven for 1 hour at 275. I'm gonna shut the heat off, and then I'm gonna let it sit in there for another hour, okay? Sometimes a problem with cheesecakes is that they crack, and they crack because they're overcooked. So remember, it should be set on the outside, but still jiggly on the inside, all right? And we'll come back when they're ready and cool. All right, welcome back. Our cheesecakes have cooled and we have done a good job because there are no cracks. So with a springform pan, we're just going to remove it. To cut cheesecake, you want a nice sharp knife that has a thin blade. All right, we're gonna dip it in some hot water. Wipe it really quick for a nice clean cut. We're gonna do that again. And then you can use your knife to lift it off of the pan. All right. So that is our coffee and chocolate cheesecake. The other cheesecake is just our plain cheesecake. And this is just some hot water. Now with a plain cheesecake, you can top it with whatever you want. I just happen to have some plain strawberries. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of sugar too. And that is how I like my cheesecake, with just some simple berries. It's light, it's absolutely smooth, and it's lovely. Try it. I love you all. Have a beautiful day.